on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My dad gave me 30 bucks.
You have an addict for a daughter, and you're giving her money to make yourself feel better, not to help her.
I think that's a crock of.
She is playing Russian roulette and spinning the cylinder every time you give her money.
This is my fault. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Is this father killing his daughter?
She says that you have given Andy over $200,000. Are you telling me that you don't know she's buying drugs with it?
He picks me up and takes me to the drug house. Why would you do that? In what world would any parent do that to their child?
Let me be very, very clear. Your life is in danger. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've hurt long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Both of you, take
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
In 5, 4,
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Hey guys, how are you? Okay, I want you to give a listen to this. It's part of a phone conversation between a father and daughter over a common topic of discussion: money.
Hello? Do you have like 20 bucks?
Andy, I'm not giving you a dime. Don't call me again.
Can you give me 20 bucks so I can make it through the weekend?
Well, on the phone was 23-year-old Andy asking for money from her father, Ed. Not to go shopping to buy herself something to eat. No, Andy wants the money to go buy drugs. It's just heads up. I mean, that's just the deal. Yes, you heard right. Her own father gives her money for drugs. Now, this is according to Andy's mother. Her name is Pam. She claims ever since their divorce 8 years ago, Ed has spent over $200,000 keeping their daughter hooked on a habit that could eventually kill her. Take a look.
My daughter's currently addicted to oxycodone, and my ex-husband has been sabotaging her recovery by financially supporting her drug habit. When Andrea was 15, she started smoking pot, and then she started using some ecstasy and Benadryl. Ed was hands-off with Andy. He would say, Pam, I don't know how you handle Andy. Andy doesn't work. Ed pays for her apartment, he pays for her heat, her phone, her cigarettes, her food, her drugs. He pays for it all. Ed has spent about $200,000 for her to use on her drugs for the last 8 years. Andy has been in about 6 different rehabs since she was 15. I can't understand how a father can do that to their children. I can't understand how a father can hand their children over drug money all the time. What's going to happen someday if Andy overdoses on drugs? One of the first questions is going to be, where did the drugs come from and how did she get them? And Ed, her own father, is going to have to stand up and say, I'm the one that gave her the money and I'm the one that took her to get the drugs. What Ed is doing may ultimately kill Andy.
Okay. Pam, what's your goal here today?
My goal is to make this madness stop. This is psychotic behavior, and I've put forth every resource that I can over the last 8 years to help Andy. And every time I do set her up for success, I'm countered. I can always count on 1 or 2 things are going to happen. One is she's going to go back to drugs. The second thing that's going to happen is that when I inquire how she got the money to get the drugs, the answer is going to be that her father gave her the drug money, or he's taken her down to get the drugs.
You're here to help Andy. You're not here to bash Ed.
No,
right?
I'm not, but he is part of the problem.
Well,
Absolutely.
Well, I'll make my own judgments about that. I don't need you to tell me what the problem is. I got a very different view of it, I think, than you do.
Okay.
And parts of it I agree with you about.
Okay.
No question. Are you telling me that at one point when Andy was in rehab, that Ed actually physically took her drugs inside rehab?
It was her brother that did that. Ed took her brother to her while in rehab, and the brother brought pot to her.
And you say he gives her money for drugs on a regular basis?
On a regular, daily, ongoing basis.
So you're telling me he knows she's going to take this money and go buy drugs?
Absolutely.
And he counts it out and gives it to her anyway?
Absolutely.
Just here's your drug money?
Absolutely.
Have there been occasions where he has actually purchased the drugs for her?
He takes her to get the
I mean,
drugs.
taking her specifically to the drug house?
Matter of fact, he called me a couple of weeks ago, and he's flipping out saying, Pam, Andy wanted some more money, and she's flipping out. He said, I had to take her down to get some Suboxone. Well, what that means is that he's taken her to a drug house, handed her the money, opened up the car door, let her get out and get the drugs and come back in. That's what that means.
Well, this just sounds unbelievable, right? You said there's no way this could be happening. So here's what Pam's ex-husband, Ed, has to say for himself.
Andrea is the daughter from hell. Andrea has stolen from me watches, rings, cameras, guns. Andrea stole my shoes. I'm sure the money went to drugs. Andrea's a hardcore addict. She will come to my work, she will pester me, and she wants money. I have got 64 calls from her in 17 minutes. Now, if that doesn't work, then all hell breaks loose. If I don't agree with her, then it's one of these, well, then you. I give my daughter $3,000 to $5,000 a month for all expenses. She may be taking my money and buying OxyContin. My ex-wife is the exact opposite of me. She will give her nothing. I hate my ex-wife. Her mother abandons Andrea. It's been this way for years. I give her money because I know what's going to happen if I do not do it. She's either going to die of an overdose or she will probably end up with a pimp. If I walk away from her, she has no one. Yeah, I'm an enabler. I think there's a hell of a difference between being an enabler and a caring enabler. Damn right I care. That's all I got.
Okay. Ed, I'm glad you're here because we need to talk. I asked Pam what's her goal for being here today. What's yours?
To help my daughter.
Are you part of the problem?
To a point, yes, I am part of the problem. I've got a very fast, very loud temper, and I absolutely do not know how to tell that girl no.
So,
however, that's a bunch of I have never, ever taken and given my daughter money for her to buy drugs with knowingly.
You
I
told
can't
me
believe you didn't
yourself
say
on the
that.
phone. You told me.
Suboxone.
What is Suboxone? Does she have a prescription for Suboxone?
You know what Suboxone is?
I do.
Does she have a prescription for Suboxone? Is she getting it under medical care? Is she getting it off the streets? You took her to a drug house to get it. Don't
You would
say,
rather that she would go through those physical withdrawals?
I'd rather she be in rehab and you leave her alone.
My God, how many rehabs have we put her in? 8?
What happened to your eye, by the way? You have a black eye.
I have a really
They've
bad
covered it
black
up
eye.
some, but you have a black eye.
I've, again, passed out.
You passed out.
No, yeah, it's not the first time.
Why did you
called
pass
me-
out?
I have no idea.
You called me last night. You were drunk out of your mind.
Maybe that's what happened then. Was drunk.
Wow.
Hell, I don't remember calling you. Maybe I would. If I called you, I know I was drunk. But anyway.
Were you drunk?
Not that I know of.
Wow.
Well, here's what you told us. You said, quote, you were hit on by a woman outside your hotel last night,
Yes.
that the woman told him she likes older men, that the woman asked him if he knew Los Angeles was the capital of the porn industry. The woman asked if he knew what OxyContin was, told her he was not interested. Pam said he sounded drunk as a skunk on the phone. He claims he woke up in the middle of the night and fell in the bathtub and got a black eye. Thought he was having a stroke this morning.
I know about the gal outside. But yeah, I could have fallen. It could have been in the bathtub when I fell last night. I really don't know. I don't.
Well, you know, I've been in this profession for 35 years, and when I was in private practice, my specialty was brain and central nervous system. That's what I focused on.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to ascertain why you just blacked out and fell over in a bathtub if you did. Do you have a brain tumor? Do you have an equilibrium problem, or did you get drunk? There are reasons
Yeah, I'd
that
had a
cause
few
this.
drinks last night. There's no doubt about it.
Maybe you have a problem counting.
I've had that problem too.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you're
I have a
drinking
hell of
more
a lot
than you
of
realize.
problems, don't I?
Maybe you're drinking more than you realize. You're killing your daughter.
What do I do? Tell me what to do.
Do you really want to know, or is this just a glib question?
I think that's a crock of
And later,
Why would you do that?
to keep her from the...
In what world would any parent do that to their child, for God's sakes?
And this is my fault. Is that what you wanted to hear? I'm guilty as hell. Now what?
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My 16-year-old stepson is in a gang.
I've seen people die, people kidnapped.
Never thought that would be my son.
Young and privileged.
you've mugged people. How do you feel good about that?
I don't feel good. I just felt in control.
And in a deadly gang.
I'm going to ask a question I have never asked a teenager before in my entire life. Have you committed murder?
Tomorrow. Then on Friday, they both claim they're the one he loves.
You say you were engaged.
He gave me this ring.
But what does he say?
Did you ask her to marry you?
Not that I can recall.
That's Friday.
I have a very fast, very loud temper. And I mean, it can go from 0 to 120 miles an hour in 2 seconds with Andrea. And I will, don't go there with me, you know what's gonna happen. I actually stopped the car one time and turned and looked at her and doubled up my fist, and I said, what I wouldn't give for you to be a guy I would bash your face in.
She says that you have given Andy over $200,000 for drugs.
I've probably given Andy over $200,000, and I'd say, yeah, probably the last 8 years. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, probably.
Has she been an addict the last 8 years?
Pretty much.
Okay, she says you've taken her drugs in rehab.
I have?
That's what she said.
The brother.
I never...
You took her brother who had drugs?
Yes.
Okay,
I took
you
her brother
said you
to see her
took.
once in rehab,
Did
yes.
he take drugs to her?
I found out later, I think he took her marijuana. I think he did, and Andy wouldn't take it.
That would be yes. Told Andy that you were dying of cancer. Did you tell you were dying of cancer?
I was dying of...
Cancer.
Who told her that?
You.
No.
Many times for the last several years, even before we got divorced, he said the doctor found black spots all over my lungs, and I'm dying of cancer. He said, and I'm dying of, not I'm going to. I am
We
dying
were
of
talking
cancer.
about smoking. That's how this stuff gets turned. Histoplasmosis, the lungs, the cobwebbing of the lungs. I have 7 different spots on there. If I don't quit smoking, that can develop into cancer, blah, blah, blah. That was the
You know how many
conversation.
times you've been dying? Okay.
Well, I think if you had lung cancer, I'd long gone been dead, don't you?
I would think so.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Well, that's good news. My
I'm
question
pretty
is,
happy to hear it, actually.
My question is, did you tell her that you were dying of cancer?
No.
Okay. Have you bought her 3 cars, a Saturn, a Mitsubishi Eclipse, and a Cadillac Escalade over the last few years?
Well, yeah, PT Cruise and a Honda, too.
Okay, so 5 cars. Okay, once Andy...
No, 7, but go ahead.
All right, 7 cars. Once Andy gets clean in rehab, you still give her money when she gets out. She gets out and asks you for money, you give it to her, okay? And you pay her rent and all of her bills.
That's correct.
Okay, now, listen. I understand what you said at the end of your tape piece. You said, yes, I'm an enabler, and I am a caring enabler. Let's play that again. I want you to hear this.
And a caring enabler. Damn right I care. That's all I got.
You said I'm a caring enabler. Mm-hmm. Damn right I care. It's all I've got.
That's correct.
All right. So you agree that you are an enabler?
Absolutely.
You've got a daughter that's been an addict for 8 years. You've been giving her money for 8 years. In your wife's estimation, about $200,000. You pay her rent, provide her cars, give her cash. So you have been funding a person that you know to be an addict for the last 8 years. Would that fall under the definition of enabling?
Yes.
So, and your point is you give her the money because the alternative, in your view, is that she either get terribly sick from withdrawals or she starts stealing or selling her body or doing horrible things with horrible people in order to do the same thing that she does if you give her the money, and that's the lesser of the two evils.
Yes.
Is that a fair statement?
Very fair statement.
All right, you're killing your daughter.
What do I do? Tell me what to do.
Do you really want to know, or is this just a glib question? You're killing your daughter. There are alternatives, and I will tell you what they are, and I will help you with that if you really want to know. But we have to understand, you're giving her that money to make yourself feel better, not to help her. You're giving her that money because you don't want the anxiety, you don't want the pain, you don't want the burden of something horrible happening to your daughter. You're giving her that money for you, not for her.
I think that's a crock of but I'll go along with it.
All right, tell me why. Listen, if what I tell you won't withstand challenge, then we'll throw it out. But if you want to debate me on that, I'm easy to find right here. So why is that a crock?
Okay, and I'll be blunt about it. I have one parent that totally turns her back, walks away, doesn't have anything to do with the children. Hannah, I did the best that I could.
No, you didn't. You bought them.
She's smoking black tar heroin. She is playing Russian roulette and spinning the cylinder every time you give her money.
Could you have sugarcoated that just a little bit?
And later,
I beg like a $2 prostitute, but you hope I don't go get a pimp, but you're gonna call me a $2 prostitute?
I have told her on several occasions she's got a mouth on her like a $3 hooker. Is that a terrible thing to tell somebody?
Yes, it's a terrible thing to say.
Yes.
This February, get ready for unforgettable drama and obsessed love triangle.
I love Chris Dr. Chris loves me.
Hey, you say you were engaged to Chris.
He gave me this ring.
Did you ask her to marry you?
Not that I can recall.
Do you have trouble being unclear?
I do sometimes.
I believe that my mom killed my sister's best friend and buried her in the backyard.
A daughter's outrageous accusations.
You said you were passed around to your dad's friends at sex parties. Did this happen?
No, none of it happened. Oh my God.
No, you don't get to do this. It is not a response to say, oh, well, I just, oh. If you want to unplug, we're done. Let me give the inventory for Pam that you gave to us. Here's what he says, that you have criticized Andy all your life, that you frequently criticize her, that you claimed chronic fatigue in order to avoid caring for her as a child, and therefore there was not a connection.
Syndrome.
That you lacked mothering instincts, you never even hugged the children, you put her in daycare at 3 weeks old, that you didn't care whether she was cold, sick, or hungry. If she was on drugs, she's out. She's gone. Wants to be the center of attention above Andy, and that Andy had to live with her boyfriend when Pam wouldn't let her come home. She says you are he says you are condescending, that you kick Andy out unless she does things your way, and that you're jealous of her good looks and won't let her even use your hairstylist.
How much of that did I cover correctly?
You know,
Did you or did you
Okay,
not
just
tell her
leave
when
me
she
quiet for
got
a minute.
out of the last rehab?
this
See her
opportunity
9 months.
is for Andy, and you want to dishonor this opportunity by a bunch of lies like that.
Hell,
I
I'm
should have
dying of
expected
cancer.
it to be
Probably I'm a liar,
typical.
too,
It
to
was
boot.
absolutely
Did
typical
you not
for you.
tell her when she got out of the last rehab that you have wanted nothing to do with her for 9 months? Hell, why? Why?
Do you dispute everything up there?
I dispute everything up there. With
Gotcha.
with the exception. Wait, hang on. With the exception.
I just want y'all to spend your time the way, when it's over,
Okay.
I don't want you walking out here saying, well, we got nothing out of that.
But
Because
it-
you sat here bickering back and forth about a bunch of petty stuff. If that's how you want to spend your time, have at it. But do not complain to me at the end of this conversation when you're no further than you are right now.
I want to address one thing.
Have at
Please,
it.
just one thing, and that is the fact that I've always set a standard for the kids, and my policy has always been, if you're using, you're not welcome. If you're not using, you're welcome, or if you're at that point to where you want to get some help, you're welcome. So that's what the shutting the door is all about, is my setting boundaries. I'm done.
Okay.
I wonder why we're divorced, don't you?
Thank God.
It's amazing.
I don't wonder why you're divorced, and I don't wonder why your daughter's an addict. What I wonder is, I told you that you are doing what you're doing to make yourself feel better, not to help your daughter. In fact, you're killing your daughter, and you smugly said, well, that's a crock of So you tell me why I'm wrong.
I'm not so damn sure I can tell you that you're wrong. This is going to sound exceptionally stupid. I suppose I never looked at it like that. All I want you to do is tell me what to do. How can I help my daughter? That's all I need. What? You could be, yeah, you're right. Is that what you wanted me to tell you? You're right. Yes, I'm an enabler.
Well, no, I don't want you to tell me what I want to hear, and I don't need you to tell me that you're an enabler, because I know that. What I need you to have some insight about is that if your daughter is ever going to get clean and sober and healthy and have a productive life using all the skills and abilities that this amazing young woman has, you are going to have to start being part of the solution instead of part of the problem. And you are going to have to start being part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Mm-hmm. And in order for that to happen, you've got to have that light bulb come on over your head. You're parenting out of guilt. You're doing this for her because you can't stand to see her suffer, because you can't stand to live with the possibility that she's out being exploited on the streets. And so to make yourself feel better, you give her this money, knowing full well that she's going to spend it on drugs. And this is never going to get better if you don't man up and be a father instead of enabling her to be an addict. And she's been to rehab 6 times. Well, you two can take one thing to the bank. I ain't going to be number 7 unless you two get on board, because you don't want to sabotage my rehab for her, because I will haunt you till the ends of the earth. You will not sabotage this girl with emotional sabotage or financial sabotage. You won't run your own agenda. If she goes to a rehab I put her in, then your ass is working for me. And that means you're going to run my agenda, not yours. You are well-intended, but terribly misguided.
Could you have sugarcoated that just a little bit?
Probably could have, if she wasn't 8 years into this and could wake up dead tomorrow. She's smoking black tar heroin. She is playing Russian roulette and spinning the cylinder every time you give her money. And that has to stop.
So what is my agenda? Stay the hell away from my daughter?
If you can't control yourself and cave to her, yes. But I tell you what, let's add her to this conversation. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Andy's going to be here, and we'll see how honest she's willing to be.
I'm gonna go get this money and then go see my guy and get a half from him. My dad gave me $30. Ouch. Burns my throat. When I was 14, I started smoking weed and doing coke. My addiction's grown into meth and oxycodone. I smoke the pills. My mom and dad are definitely different. My mom does tough love, where my dad just enables me. My dad gives me money and I'll tell him it's for groceries or a drug test or something, but when he comes and gives me the money, he takes me to the drug house. He looks the other way, tries to pretend that that's not what's really happening when it's obvious. It's like giving a kid candy and expecting him not to eat it. I feel like my dad's really emotionally abusive towards me. My dad's told me he's gonna bash my face in. He called me a chiller prostitute because I just keep calling his phone asking for money. I do have a daughter. My addiction just doesn't let me be a mom to her because I just can't get clean. I just don't want to keep using. I just want to get over this.
All right, Andy. It's good to meet you. You're a drug addict, true?
Yeah.
And you're currently addicted.
Yes.
And you're currently using.
Yeah.
And are you high right now?
No.
You've been to rehab 6 times, and you're an active addict. So what's happening that you don't seem to be able to get this worked out?
Honestly, I can get money when I come out. I try to stay clean, and then when I just have moments of weakness, I just stay weak. And
where do you get the money?
From my dad.
You get the money from your dad. And you go directly from there to get the drugs and get high.
Yeah, he picks me up and takes me there.
Andy says making a drug run is part of her daily routine. Get up, shower, dress, call dad for money, go get high. Take a look.
Yeah, this is my typical day. I'm gonna call my dad and try and get money. Hello? Do you have like $20?
Andy, I'm not giving you a dime. Don't call me again.
Can you give me $20 so I can make it through the weekend? All right, we can go get $20. So I'm gonna go get this money and then go see my guy and get a half from him. It's like a daily thing after I get him to get money. Sometimes he'll just give it to me, but most of the time I just have to argue with him about it. I gotta go to the front door and get money. Sorry, bye. My dad gave me $30. You feel a lot better halfway through it. I get slurry. Ouch. Burns my throat. Definitely feel better now. It's like a daily thing. I wish I could just wake up and feel normal.
Have you ever seen her do that? She had a pill there, and she was lighting it from beneath. What is it?
Oxy.
Oxy. So she calls you, gets the money, goes from there, gets the drugs, smokes them, gets high, and then calls you again.
A lot of times she will call me. I'll go pick her up, take her there, give her the money. She'll come back out and show me, am I correct, a strip. It's Suboxone strip or a generic Suboxone. What's that stuff for then if you're still using?
Why would you do that?
To keep her from...
In what world would any parent do that to their child, for God's sakes?
It's an antibiotic. It's not a Suboxone.
Aren't those strips Suboxone?
It's been the same thing every single time. Those pills I show you, it's an antibiotic. It's not Suboxone.
I am a idiot, aren't I? It wasn't that I handed her 200 grand and said, here, go screw up your life.
Well, actually, kind of you did.
Actually, kind of did, didn't I?
Yeah. Because this is just what you've told us. This is just for the last few months. In August, You made 2 ATM withdrawals. Ted gave her $100 for that. In September, you made 20 ATM withdrawals for $1,260. You gave her that. In October, 29 ATM withdrawals for $1,780. In November, 3 ATM withdrawals for $280. So just in that time, you've given her $34 and $20. I do my homework. 54 ATM withdrawals that you say were for cash for her.
Sounds about right.
That means 54 times you gave her money to go buy drugs.
Knowingly or yes? Okay, yes.
You have an addict for a daughter and you're giving her money. Are you telling me that you don't know she's going and buying drugs with it?
No, I'm not going to tell you that.
So
I didn't want my daughter to suffer for anything. And this is my fault. Is that what you wanted to hear? Because it's true.
What I want to hear is that you acknowledge that you have been making it possible for her to get drugs by giving her money that she goes and buys them, and therefore that you're willing to stop that.
I am willing to stop that, and yes, I realize that. So I'm guilty as hell. Now what? How do I eliminate it? How do you eliminate when you love it so damn much? You don't want them to suffer.
It's interesting that you say that because here's what she says, and this is a quote. She says, "My dad hates me. He doesn't know how to love me."
I
That's a
hate
quote
my
from
daughter's behavior.
Straight told me you hated me.
Have you told her you hope she overdoses and dies?
God, no.
Yes.
One of these
Yes,
days
did.
you would overdose and die.
Yes, you even told me on the phone.
Why in God's name would I hope?
I don't know. Why would you say it?
Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever. What the hell
Yeah,
kind
no
of an animal
kidding.
do you think I am?
When she calls you for money, do you call her a whore?
I beg like a $2 prostitute, but you hope I don't go get a pimp, but you're gonna call me a $2 prostitute?
I have told her on several occasions she's got a mouth on her like a $3 hooker. Is that a terrible thing to tell somebody?
Yes, it's a terrible thing to say.
Yes. Yes,
the
that
matter
would
with
be
you?
that would be on the list of don't say.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, let's take a break. I'm going to try to make sense out of this next and put some verbs in my sentences about exactly what needs to happen. I'm going to answer Ed's question. What do I do now? We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. He's 16.
I'm going to ask a question I have never asked a teenager before.
And in a deadly gang.
Have you committed murder?
That's tomorrow.
Andrea and I had a scuffle. She flipped out and called me a bitch, and I swooped her legs out from underneath her, and I sat on top of her. You don't ever talk to me that way. She didn't expect that to happen, and I know she'll never call me a bitch again.
You sit over there like Queen Bee talking about what an idiot he is. He is killing our daughter. There's plenty of ownership to go around here, I will guarantee you. That's why I said she may have been to 6 rehabs. I'm not going to be involved in number 7 if you two are not willing to do as much work while she's gone as she is while she is gone. Because I'm not, what's the point? You know, we have an advisory board here at the Dr. Phil Show. It's made up of the top minds in psychology, psychiatry, medicine, sociology, all the different disciplines. The chairman of our advisory board is Dr. Frank Lawless. He's a double diplomate in psychology. I asked him to come because he has written this book that is going to be required reading for the two of you. And when I say required reading, I mean test required reading for the two of you. It's entitled Not My Child, a progressive and proactive approach to healing addicted teenagers and their families. Now, why do you think I chose this book that says teenagers to deal with this situation?
Because that's basically mature-wise where she is. I know that her maturity and her brain is stunted when she
clearly
started
stopped
using
at
drugs.
14 or 15 years of age. That's what you're dealing with here, which is why you expect a more mature response. But when you do the drugs that you've done, it changes emotional development. It is stunted. Neurologically, you are impacted. And so this is, let me tell you, and at home, you got a kid you think are on drugs or is vulnerable to it, this is not a book, it's a Bible. You need to read this, you need to study it. Dr. Lawless, I asked him to come here. Say hello to Dr. Frank Lawless. Frank, you and I have been talking about this story, this situation with Ed and Pam and Andy for quite some time. We spent hours talking about this. What's in this book for these guys? What's your number one point that has to happen here for her to have a chance to stay alive?
Well, my number one point, has already been brought up, is we have to stop enabling her.
Your number 2 point is what?
Well, they have to create coping skills on how to deal with each other in problem solving. And so they not only have to learn it, but they also have to model it within the whole family unit.
Do you have a drinking problem, in your opinion?
No.
You say you pass out frequently. And
no, just lately. In the last 3 months, and it's happened about 4 or 5 times. Here we go again, aren't we? Will you sugarcoat this one, please?
All right, let me sugarcoat this.
Oh, thank you.
Ed, perhaps you should revisit that question, because if you are getting blackouts, and this one was on the heels of drinking, and I asked you about the last one, and you said it involved drinking, it sounds to me like you might be drinking to the point that you're blacking out. And if that's the case, you're in the same boat she is.
I've never seen you not drink and not black out, ever. I don't think
Say
you
that
drink all the
again?
time. Every time you drink, you black out. You call me and you're just wasted.
She's saying when you drink, you drink.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. That's what I'm saying. Oh, no, and on a serious note, yes, I do. Yeah, I want to get away from my problem.
Let me be very, very clear. You are a dangerous drug addict, and your life is in danger. You have a child.
Yeah.
And she's how old?
She's 5.
She's 5. And who is taking care of this child?
Her dad takes care of her. He's tired of my addiction, too, because it takes me away from her and being with her as I should be.
And you have a parenting plan that you need to comply with in order to have access to her, correct?
Yes, I do. I have a parenting plan that has visitation.
It says you have to be enrolled in a drug treatment and provide proof of completion to the court and the father, right?
Yeah, this is a new parenting plan. This is a new parenting plan that we just signed.
Right, November 13th.
Yeah.
The mother shall attend weekly NA meetings for a period of 6 months and provide proof of attendance. The mother shall submit to random drug test at least 3 times a month for a period of 6 months and sign a release to allow the testing facility to provide full reports to the father's attorney and, of course, to the court.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't do this, then no access to the child.
Yeah.
Let me be very, very clear about my assessment of this situation. You are a dangerous drug addict, and if this doesn't get under control, your life is in danger. It's just that simple. Want to get something off your chest? Sign up for the drphil.com community and weigh in on your favorite episodes and share your personal stories with other community members. Plus, get started on your own blog to share your thoughts on the topics that interest you most. I'll be reading those message boards. Log on to drphil.com today. This is not an Andy problem. This is a family problem. And in order for this to get better, you have to make some major philosophical, behavioral changes in the way you relate to her. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Do you agree you're going to have to do the same thing? Yeah. Okay, because I do have a plan here. Sitting next to Dr. Lawless is Ben Levinson. He's the founder and CEO of Origin Recovery Centers. And Origins is America's leading, in my opinion, dual diagnosis treatment center. And when I say dual diagnosis, I mean it deals with psychological issues parallel to the addiction. And I don't know whether she'll be gone for 90 days or 6 months or a year or what's going to happen, but I'll guarantee you that we work to criteria here. And we're going to have to do whatever has to be done. And are you willing to do this?
Yeah.
Ben, anything to add?
Hi, Andy.
Hi.
I think we have one shot to save your life. And what I want to say, Dr. Phil, is when addiction's present in the family system, Andy, your family is a great example of how it absolutely remodels everybody's behavior in the system to ensure its own existence and meet everybody else's needs in really dysfunctional ways. So when we plop you out of a dysfunctional family system and work on you like you've been to treatment before, and we plug you back into that same system, of course you're going to default back to the way the system prefers you to be. We have to change the system. So we're going to put you and your parents, like Dr. Phil talked about, on separate treatment tracks. And until they've made some changes, you have to be really clear about whether you're willing to accept that kind of conduct in your life.
You say you love her and you want the best for her. Are you willing to do the work you have to do while she's gone?
Whatever it takes.
Because it's going to take time. It's going to take you.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. I believe you. I believe you mean that.
I do mean it.
And it's going to take some very much self-examination with you. And I think there's going to be some very candid conversations about your alcohol abuse. The book I talked about today, for those of you at home, is Not My Child. And it is going to be a real anchor and starting place for the two of you, along with a lot of other things. All right, we're done here for today. I want to thank you guys for being here. I also want to thank Ben Levinson, co-founder and CEO of Origins Recovery Center on South Padre Island. Really, Ben, thank you for all you do and for what you do for these people. Finally, I want to thank Dr. Frank Lawless for his insightful and encouraging advice for this family, and his book, Not My Child, A Progressive and Proactive Approach for Healing Addicted Teenagers and Their Families, is now available in bookstores. We'll start working on this. Thank you, guys. See y'all.